president, if you would.
For a moment, I forgot that the class president was me. All rise.
Looks like you didn't get enough sleep. I know it's been very hot at night lately, but try to get as much sleep as you can. All right, everyone.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure this place can be called a school, because there are so many different age groups. It's like a kindergarten and an elementary school blended together. Since I heard already about what this place was like, I didn't feel that uncomfortable. It wasn't too difficult to act like Mion here. As Sis told me, Satoshi-kun looked exhausted. I said hi to him, but he ignored me. Since I knew that he'd been going through his pained look Since I knew what he'd been going through, his pained look looked apparent to me. I was interested in another person in this classroom. Satoko, Satoshi-kun's little sister. She looked as worn out as Satoshi-kun, emotionless like an abandoned doll. Everybody in this room was aware of their circumstances, but no one could do anything for them. So they just acted as though nothing was wrong. Mion will only let me have this one day. If I slacked off even a little bit, today would be over quickly. I had to figure out what I should do in this limited time. I should probably talk to Satoshi-kun. About what? Anything goes. Cheer him up, sympathize with him, anything will do. More than anything, I just wanted to chat with him. However, Sis had told me there's a hardcore spelling mistake right there. Sis HD told me. That's had. However, Sis had told me. She said Satoshi-kun didn't communicate much with her lately, and had distanced himself from her. I figured I shouldn't talk to him too casually. I wanted to, but maybe it was better to leave him alone. I needed to keep Sis's warnings in mind, but instead I decided to ignore them. I looked for Satoshi-kun during lunch break. He was walking as if looking for a place where he could be alone. I caught him in the hallway. Satoshi-kun! He turned around, startled by my voice. His facial expression surprised me. He was scowling, clearly a sign of rejection. But I couldn't hesitate. I'd lose my only chance if I did. Hey, how are you? He gave me a look as if saying, "Do I look fine to you?" I never expected to see an expression like that on his face. I felt like my heart was being torn into pieces. As I looked down, he spoke to me. I felt a little glad, but the next thing he said changed that.
I'm fine. Is there anything else? I'll get going if there isn't, because I want to be alone.
Okay. I guess you're tired from work. I'm sure you want some time to yourself. You're working today too, right? Where at? Sis had found several jobs for him. He worked at a few different places. He was helping out when necessary at any of the shops Mion introduced him to. As a result, he constantly had to do different tasks in a different environment almost every time. On top of that, he requested high-paying jobs from Mion because he wanted a large sum of money as soon as possible. In other words, he chose to do mostly manual labor. He was exhausted every day because he wasn't that physically strong.
Does it matter? And shouldn't you know, because you helped me get the job?
Mion did help him get the job, yet Satoshi-kun didn't look thankful for that opportunity. This wasn't like him at all. It made me feel sad. You're right. Sorry.
Is that all?
He sounded so harsh. Why was he being like that? Would he ever stroke my head again? I couldn't help my tears. They flowed into my cheeks. Satoshi-kun looked confused for a moment, but then frowned again. Sorry. The coach said he wanted you to come back to practice. I told him I quit, so I won't be going back. But maybe it's a good idea to work out from time to time, you know? Not interested. I didn't know why he was being so hostile towards me. Why did he hate me so much? I was left bewildered. Why? How come? Because I'm busy with work. Isn't it obvious? No, I didn't mean that. Why do you hate me so much? Why don't you ask yourself? Ask myself? What? What did I do? I don't understand, Satoshi-kun. I couldn't control my emotions any longer. Streaks of tears ran down my cheeks. Satoshi-kun gave me a hateful glare and walked away without saying another word. I couldn't even stop him. If I tried, he'd hurt me again with another cutting remark. I couldn't bear that. So I just watched him walk away. I wiped my tears and went back to the classroom. I heard somebody crying from inside. What was going on? I looked around the room to see. It was Satoko. I saw her bento box on the floor. I asked one of her classmates what happened, and it seemed that Satoko had bumped into somebody's shoulder when she stood up to go wash the box out. That was all. But Satoko was crying as if afraid she was going to be chided badly. What happened was very minor. She could just pick up the bento box and things would be fine. It looked like the lid came a little loose, but it was definitely fixable. She didn't have to cry like that. Yet Satoko started begging through her tears. Help! Help me, Nini! Gah! Because of what happened with Satoshi-kun, I couldn't suppress my emotions very well. So instead, they exploded. I stormed up to Satoko while elbowing her classmates aside. I grabbed her by the head and threw her into the wall. Satoko screamed. She didn't seem to understand what had happened. She was shedding tears and shivering. She must be wondering why I did that. Do you know why I did that? Help, Nini. Satoko cried for her brother's help again, and so I grabbed her head and threw her again. Satoko stumbled and crashed into a desk. The desk fell and the contents of the drawer scattered about. Satoko didn't even stand up. She just crouched and trembled while looking up at me. Help! Help! Nini! Nini! If you weren't like that, Satoshi-kun wouldn't have to suffer. Don't you get it? That's what I wanted to say, but I was too angry to utter another word. I picked up a bunch of textbooks from the floor and threw them at her face. Cry as much as you want, but nothing's going to change. Why are you crying? Because you think somebody's going to help you? You don't have any idea what he has to go through to protect you, do you? Do you understand that? Do you understand what you're doing? You shouldn't exist! Die if you don't want to suffer! Go fuck yourself! Don't hurt Satoshi-kun! You deserve to die alone! You just deserve to die! Gah! Nini! Nini! Gah! Her desperate cries only increased my irritation. Stop crying! Don't call your brother for help! Stop it! If you weren't like that, if only you... I kept on throwing things at her. Satoko curled up to protect herself and cried even harder. At that point, a girl with long hair ran up and huddled over her. I knew who that was. Rika Frude, one of Sato's only friends.
Please, don't hurt her. She's in a poor situation, so please don't hurt her.
It doesn't matter how pathetic she is. She shouldn't rely on Satoshi-kun all the time. Stop spoiling her. Satoshi-kun has to suffer so much because of her.
No. Stop. Don't hurt her.
Rika also became the target of my anger. I'm trying to teach her something here. If you keep getting in the way, I'll crack your head open. I grabbed a chair and lifted it over my head. It wouldn't hurt only a little if I threw this thing at them. Rika tightly closed her eyes and covered Satoko with her body. I didn't care what the consequences would be. I didn't care if I hurt them. Stop! Mi-chan! Rena returned to the classroom and shouted at me. Then Satoshi-kun rushed in while pushing Rena aside. Seeming to have grasped the situation immediately, he charged straight at me. Until my body had hit the locker, I didn't understand what had happened. There was a loud crashing noise. I'd left a dent in it. I crouched there in pain.
Satoko, are you alright?
Nini! Nini! Satoko pushed Rika aside, jumping at her brother, and started crying again.
What happened? Why are you treated like that? Why?
I didn't do anything, but Mion-san, she suddenly...
What's going on, Mion?
Satoshi-kun shouted at me while clutching his sister. He looked fierce. What
did Satoko do to deserve this? What did we do? Why do we always have to suffer like this? Why?
He released Satoko and rushed up to me, grabbing me by the neck.
You said I should ask myself, didn't you? So why don't you ask yourself?
Ask what?
I know you feel she's a burden on you.
Wait, I had that backwards. You said that I should ask myself, didn't you? So why don't you ask yourself?
Ask what?
I know you feel she's a burden on you. You always have to suffer because of her. You know that, right? If she were stronger, you wouldn't have to suffer. She's the one to blame. I don't believe what I said was wrong, but after hearing it, Satoshi-kun went berserk.
What the heck do you know?
Ah! Satoshi-kun grabbed my hair and threw me into a wall just like I did to Satoko. However, I wasn't going to back down. I no longer had any control over my emotions at all. You spent so much time protecting her. She'll never stop relying on you until you stop doing that.
What the hell do you know about us? What the heck do you know? You persecuted our parents, and now it's us? That's the way of the Sonozaki family, huh? You torture traitors for fun. Is it fun? Is it fun to bully us? Huh?
Stop it! That was Rena's voice. She stepped in looking as fierce as a demon. Satoshi-kun, please! Mi-chan doesn't have any bad intentions. She wanted to help you, but she's just lost a little control. Okay? Satoshi-kun looked like he wanted to say something back, but he chose not to. You too, Mi-chan. I know how much you worry about Satoshi-kun. But you can't solve the problem like that. I think you understand, right? Since Satoshi-kun didn't say anything, I kept quiet, too. Here, Sadako-chan, you don't have to cry just because you dropped your bento box, alright? Do you feel better now?
Satoko, I'll pick up the bento for you.
Rika started picking up the bento box while its owner continued to cry. Guys, can you help us clean up? The teacher will be back soon from the vegetable garden. This quarrel is over, so don't tell her about it, okay? The classmates looked at each other and nodded, then started picking up the stuff on the floor. Here, Satoshi-kun, Mi-chan, why don't you guys shake hands as a sign of reconciliation? Sorry. I didn't mean to do this. Tears started rolling down my cheeks again.
I'm sorry, too. You have nothing to do with our family situation. I'm sorry.
Okay, Mi-chan, why don't you apologize to Satoko-chan now? I was fine with apologizing to Satoshi-kun, but I didn't want to apologize to her. But the situation wouldn't be settled otherwise, so I reluctantly apologized. Sadako nodded, looking discouraged. After that, Rena let me go. My head ached, so I had to hold it with both hands. What was that? What did I do? I didn't want to use this precious time to fight. Sis had warned me. She told me that I shouldn't talk to Satoshi-kun just like that. What did I come here for? I should have come here if I shouldn't have come here if I knew this was going to happen. Stupid. You're stupid, Shion. I was overcome by emotions because I was so worried about Satoshi-kun. When did things go so wrong? Were they wrong from the beginning? I got into a fight with Satoshi-kun. This was totally the opposite of what I wanted. I regretted it. I hated myself for it. I couldn't blame myself enough. My world had been torn apart. I wished the sky would fall and kill me. Sis sounded both amazed and confused. You know, I'm busy with the festival preparations, but you certainly made things more complicated. Sorry. Sis tried to say something, but she stopped in the middle. After listening to a few complaints, I started telling her about everything that happened today. Sis had had to pretend that the trouble I caused today was her responsibility, which must have been very taxing for her. So I won't get the chance to trade spots for a while. Hey, I think you should be more aware of the hassle I have to go through. Yeah, you're right. Sis had been sympathetic, but maybe I pushed her too far this time. Of course, she'd be hesitant to trade spots considering of what I did today. The atmosphere felt awkward, so we're both silent for a while. If you were to get another chance, what would you do, Shion? That was a reasonable question. I wasn't prepared to answer, though. If I had the chance to go to school once again and see Satoshi-kun, what would I do? I would apologize to him about today? I didn't think that would work. That might even upset him again, no matter how hard I tried. Okay, here's something that he was saying. It was the Sonozaki family who had been harassing his... It would only be natural for him to hold a grudge against us. But why was he only expressing that now? I've been a Sonozaki to him all along. Satoshi-kun stroked my head even though he knew that I was Mion Sonozaki. Sis, do you think that Satoshi-kun is holding a grudge against the Sonozaki family? I think so, yes. It was our family that initiated the persecution of the Hujo family, making them into scapegoats. Even after the dam conflict, it wasn't easy for the Hujo family to live in Hamanazawa. Given all of that, it's not surprising that Satoshi-kun hates us. The Sonozaki family who put his family in a devastating situation. But why now? Why is he only expressing that grudge towards us now? Why is this happening now? If he wanted to... If he had rejected me in the first place, I wouldn't have wanted to get close to him. My tears wet my cheeks. I didn't bother to wipe them. It's only natural for him to hold a grudge against the Sonozakis. There's nothing unusual about it. Rather, why has he been treating me like a friend? I knew how stupid this question was. I think it's because he was mature. I can't understand it. He had been treating me as a friend because he was mature, but now he had become stressed mentally and physically. He's decided to reject me? No matter how hard I thought about it, I couldn't find anything to fault him with. If there were somebody to blame, it'd be somebody I'd never accused before. Why did the hag decide to persecute the Hujo family? Eh? It was his parents who supported the dam project, right? Satoshi-kun had nothing to do with it. Why was he included? Why? Mion couldn't say anything in return. Actually, it wasn't all that hard to guess the reason. The hag didn't give any specific order to harass the Hujo family. She just thought the Hujo family was getting in the way. The people around her noticed that was bothering her and took steps to get rid of it. Though, of course, she must have known how influential her own words were. She didn't just think it, she gave what she must have known would be interpreted as an order. She's the one to blame for initiating the attack on the Hujo family. You said before that the Furude priest wasn't mature because he didn't cooperate, right? Is this the same scenario? The Hujo family wasn't mature because they didn't act in accordance with the other villagers? Is that why the hag decided to punish them? Isn't it? Mion couldn't say anything in return, meaning that my accusation was the truth. They already punished the Hujo couple. Feel free to bring them to the torture room in the garden and chop their fingers off or something, but leave Satoshi-kun alone. Satoshi-kun has nothing to do with this. What did he do to deserve this? What did he do wrong? Answer me! Answer me, Mion! Mion! Very well. Please take care of the matter. Goodbye. Mion suddenly changed her tone and hung up. She must have done that to escape from my questions. I was furious. I started redialing the number, but then I remembered that we decided she'd hang up at the phone after using the phrase when she saw the hag coming. I doubted she actually saw the hag. It was the rule, so I couldn't call back for a while. I went to the bathroom to wash my face and cool down. I turned the faucet. The water felt lukewarm. It didn't help me cool down at all. I'm disgusted by my own childishness. I wanted to fill the void. I didn't care about him, considering that Satoshi-kun was very generous. But I don't know if I can forgive Sadako. That's a different story. I was looking up at the ceiling with my arms and legs spread out. It's not that I wasn't getting hungry. I didn't live with my parents. I didn't live in the school dorm. That meant I had to cook something myself when I wanted to eat. I knew that, but I still didn't feel like getting up. It had been several days since I began this empty life. It must be tomorrow. The Watanagashi festival, I mean. I heard the doorbell ringing. I ignored it at first, but it rang persistently. I started hearing knocking alongside Kasai's rude voice.
Shion-san, please open up. I brought some food for you.
I didn't ask him to. He must have known that I hadn't eaten enough and that I'd been feeling down lately.
You haven't eaten, have you?
No, I'm not hungry. But then Kasai put the food on the table. My stomach started reacting in a very primitive way by making some noise.
Your stomach is growling. I believe you need to eat.
I was hungry, but I had no appetite. I mean, I didn't have an appetite. I did have an appetite, but I didn't have the energy to eat. Yet, I'd feel bad wasting the food Kasai had brought. So I picked up my chopsticks just to humor him. I thought you were marked by the hag. Is it okay for you to be here?
Oiru-san is busy with the festival preparation meetings. She doesn't seem to have time to deal with you right now. Didn't you like the croquets?
They're good. Thanks. Croquettes. While I nibbled on the food, Kasai read through the magazines I bought. Have you, I'd never talked to Kasai about something like this before. Since I've always believed myself superior to him psychologically, I hesitated to show my weakness to him.
That kind of hardship is healthy for you at your age.
Huh? Hey, do you know about that?
Mion-san told me a little bit about it. She said she wanted me to assist you.
She did she?
She looked worried. Your sister is going out for you. Looking out for you is what I meant.
Without responding, I threw the last croquette in my mouth.
I thought you might want to know how Satoshi Hujo-kun is doing. I've gathered some information. Would you like me to report?
That's not necessary. But since you went through the trouble, I think I'd better listen. Kasai chuckled, but stopped quickly as if thinking it rude.
It seems that Teppei Hujo fled the premises. He seems to be staying at his mistress's place in Okanomiya.
Teppei? Who's that? Oh, Satoshi-kun's uncle, huh?
Their aunt, Tami Hujo, Satoshi, and Satoko are the only ones living in the house now. Ever since Tamei learned that Teppei had fled to his mistress, she has been in a foul mood.
So that must mean that the aunt is being even nastier to Satoko, and Satoshi-kun is taking even more indirect blows?
I don't know about Satoshi-kun, but I heard that Satoko-san looks very miserable. The neighbors are spreading rumors about her.
If Satoko looks miserable, that means Satoshi-kun is going to be going through equally miserable torture. Can't you do something about that aunt? Doesn't anybody talk about punishing her? She's also one of the remaining Hujos, after all. The uncle is gone now, why not the aunt?
The main Sonozaki family ruled against further harassment toward the Hujo family after the death of the couple. They say the police still might be stalking out their house due to suspicions about the couple's death.
Their deaths have been filed under Yoshiro-sama's curse, so the Sonozaki family thinks no further divine intervention is necessary. Kasai put on a faint smile. Come to think of it, it's hard not to suspect the involvement of the Sonozaki family in all the incidents said to be Yoshiro-sama's curse. Somebody strives to get rid of the hag's concerns on the day of the Watanagashi festival. Furthermore, the Watanagashi festival is going to be held tomorrow. Will the curse strike again this year? If so, who will be the victim? Now that I think about it, there were cases of multiple victims in the past. The first and third year it was just one, but the second year the victims were a couple. So it wouldn't be too strange if 2 people fell victim this year. It seems like a good time. It'd be the best for Satsuko and her aunt to be the victims. Satoshi-kun would be freed from every source of his worries all at once. Kasai, do you know if this year's victim has been selected already? Does the hag make that decision? If so, Sis should know about it by now. Kasai, do you know anything?
Shion-san, I don't know anything about that matter.
Well, that makes sense. That kind of secret won't make its way to you because you're just small fry.
That's true. I've never received any information regarding that from my connections. But, as you know, the Sonozaki family has access to many underground organizations, which I have no channels into.
Maybe I could try asking Sis about it, but she won't talk. She's strict about keeping promises, unlike me. If the hag told her to keep a secret, she'd take it to her grave. Damn. I hope Satsuko and her aunt will go missing this year. Hey, Kasai, I just thought of that. Aren't you going to do something about it?
Shion-san, you must be joking.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I took a glimpse at Kasai. It didn't look like he was actually going to do something to make my wish come true. I wasn't able to go to the village as myself, so I definitely wasn't going to the festival. I didn't care about that. Even so, I was interested in who was going to end up as the victim of the curse. If I just kept lying on this couch playing hooky, somebody would fall victim in several hours. I had no clue why it had to happen every year, but I was certain that the hag was behind it. All the enemies from the dam conflict had been punished. Only the Hujo couple was left, since most of the other enemies had already gone. The cicadas were crying loudly outside. It made me feel hot. Why was it this hot and humid in June? If Oshiro-sama was actually punishing people, I'd pray for one thing. I'd pray that the evil aunt would be punished, and I'd offer up Satsuko as a sacrifice. It's hot. When I woke up, Kasai had already gone. Looks like he cleaned the table and the surrounding room. He put my dirty laundry into the hamper in front of the washing machine, too. Being a girl of a sensitive age, I didn't want a man to clean my room. Well, I'd rather thank him than badmouth him. I looked at the clock. It was late afternoon. I had to go grocery shopping. There was nothing left in the fridge, and I'd be having just rice for dinner if I didn't go. At that moment, the phone rang. It must be Kasai, I thought. I did hope it was him. He could have brought more food, so then I wouldn't have to go grocery shopping. While I was just being lazy, I didn't feel like going out at all. But it wasn't Kasai on the phone. Sis, where are you calling from? The house? No. I'm calling from a payphone, so I'll make it quick. Satoshi called me. Satoshi-kun did. He called you? It probably wasn't me he wanted. He called you, I think. It sounded like he wanted to apologize for what happened the other day, so I thought you should take the call. I told him that I'd call back because I was busy, so can you call this number? Okay. I was stunned for a second, but then recovered and wrote down the number on the back of a magazine. Thanks. I'll call right away. Good. He's been extremely stressed these days. I don't think he'll listen to me anymore, but I think he'll listen to you. She could have pretended to be me and handled this call, but she passed it over to me. Thanks, Mion. See you, Shion. Before she hung up, I put the handset down. Then, after a second, I dialed the number in a flash. I heard the dial tone 3 times, 4 times, and there he was.
Hujo residence.
He sounded like an adult. His voice sounded a bit tired, too, but it definitely was the voice I loved. I got scared. I was scared that he might become sulky again if I mentioned my name. I couldn't open my mouth for a while. Is that you, Satoshi-kun?
Oh, sorry that I called you so suddenly. Are you okay now?
That was the Satoshi-kun I knew. He didn't sound cold like the other day. Yes, I'm okay now.
Good.
After that, he went silent. I felt the urge to start a conversation. It wasn't fair. He was the one who called in the first place. Then, he finally spoke.
I'm truly sorry for what happened the other day.
I'm sorry too.
You don't have to apologize, because I was the one in the wrong.
If this were a face-to-face conversation, he would be stroking my head. It was sad just talking to him over the phone.
I won't forgive those people who forced us into this situation. You might be close to them, but it was never you personally, so I wanted to apologize.
No, please, don't apologize. I was selfish, and I didn't try to understand your situation very well. We apologized to each other a few times. Are you alright, Satoshi-kun? You're working and you're under a lot of stress. Isn't that too much to handle?
I quit my job, since I have enough money now.
You did? That's good. You don't have to push yourself anymore, then. That's really good. Satoshi-kun tried to say something, but he dropped it instead.
Satoko has it far worse than me. Seems like it.
Seems like it. Is she alright?
Does she look alright to you?
He suddenly sounded upset. I messed up. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was so stupid. I had ruined this miraculous conversation with him. Satoshi-kun didn't respond to my apology, so I stopped apologizing.
She was tortured until she was literally torn up, and everybody abandoned her. Everybody did.
I didn't... I tried to calm him down. I hated what I just said because of how hollow it sounded. I had no idea what to say next. I felt guilty. Satoshi-kun was desperate to protect Satoko from their evil aunt, but I wished that Satoko would die tomorrow because of the curse. I was trampling on his desperate hope.
Satoko can't take it anymore, so...
He cut himself off in the middle, and went quiet for a moment. He must have been choosing his words carefully. Then he finally spoke. His words sounded hollow.
I mean, I want her to have fun for one night.
What do you mean?
The Watanagashi festival is tomorrow, isn't it? I want you to take her there.
Yeah, I can do that, but why?
She's exhausted. So, I think she'd be happy if she could get away from our aunt for even just one night.
But why?
Why?
It's not that I didn't understand why he wanted her to be taken to the festival. What I didn't understand is why he was asking me to do that. Was there any reason he couldn't take her there himself? I had a hunch that he might disappear, so I kept asking. What do you mean, why?
Wait, what do you mean, why?
Why don't you take her yourself? He fell silent. Satoshi-kun isn't good at lying or keeping secrets. It was clear that he wanted to hide something.
I just have some stuff that I need to take care of with my own work tomorrow. So I can't go to the festival.
He was lying. But he was also stubborn. He wouldn't admit it if I accused him.
Mion, can you take her there tomorrow?
I wouldn't want to look after Satoko, even at Satoshi-kun's request, but I'm also glad he's relying on me.
I know it's ridiculous to ask for your help after that incident, but you're the only person I can turn to now.
I didn't know what to say. I did know, though, that I wasn't going to turn down his request. Okay, but just for tomorrow, alright?
I hope you keep looking after her.
What are you saying? I won't do that, just for tomorrow. He sounded as if he were going to disappear tomorrow. I didn't like the sound of that, so I intentionally sounded sulky. We talked about trivial stuff just for a little while. When the conversation was almost over, Satoshi-kun asked something else.
Hey, Mion. I really hate asking this, but since you might think I'm crazy for saying it, but...
Huh? What?
You... You don't believe in it, right?
Believe in what?
In Oshiro-sama's curse.
What are you talking about, Satoshi-kun?
Oshiro-sama curses those who leave the village, right?
That's the rule. Every kid in the village knows that. That's the rule, but what's with that suddenly? Are you planning to leave? Though I was kidding, I wanted him to deny it.
I'm not thinking about that anymore.
He admitted that he had thought of it. I guess Rena told me that much. That's good, so you're not leaving the village.
No, but I haven't been forgiven yet.
Eh? Satoshi-kun tried to say something, but he hesitated. He was breathing so heavily. Was he sick? Hey, do you feel alright, Satoshi-kun?
Sorry. I'm fine.
I guess you're tired. I think you should get some rest. He sounded distinctly more sickly from when this conversation had started. He breathed heavily when punctuating his words. Satoshi-kun repeated his question.
Mion, I'll ask you one more time. Do you believe in Oshiro-sama's curse?
What did he want me to say? I could make him feel relieved with my answer. How should I respond? The answer was simple. There's no curse. There can't possibly be. I didn't know what was bothering him, but I wanted to make him feel better by laughing his worries away. But Satoshi-kun instead fell silent. I couldn't tell if he was happy with my answer or not. One thing was certain, I didn't make him feel any better.
Sorry that I asked such a weird question.
Sorry. I felt like I let him down, so I apologized in a rush.
Whether it's a real curse or somebody's conspiracy, I won't disappear, and I won't fall victim to it.
You won't disappear?
No. Not until I buy that teddy bear. I'll get the money pretty soon. I won't go anywhere until then.
He chuckled. I knew he was trying to relieve me, but it worked the opposite way. He sounded as though he didn't care what would happen after he bought the teddy bear.
Oh, my aunt is home. I have to go.
Okay?
Mion.
Huh? Even though he wanted to hang up the phone because of his aunt coming back, Satoshi-kun took a breath to tell me something important.
I'll leave Sachiko to you.
I should have said yes right away, but I still couldn't forgive Satoko, so I just kept being quiet.
Forget what I said. Bye.
Ah! He was obviously disappointed. What had I done? I wanted to apologize. I wish I could. But it was too late. The dial tone left no doubt. Now that was depressing. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I was going to be the victim of the curse this year. So I'm going to disappear soon. There'll be nobody left. Of course it was Satoshi. Hold on.
Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I was going to be the victim of the curse this year. So I'm going to disappear soon. There'll be nobody left to take care of Satoko. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I didn't have much time. That I won't stay as myself for much longer. So I had to make the best of the days I had left. What could I leave for Satoko? She wanted that huge teddy bear. She wanted a peaceful life in which nobody would bully her. I whispered to the person at my back, "Bestow your violent nature and formidable strength upon me. I want your peaceful mind, filled with hatred."
Interesting. So, Shion goes to the school and basically, like, for a progression into actual information about anything, not a lot of 100% concrete stuff. At least from the bulk of the chapter. Because it was kind of surprising Shion's outburst on Sadako-chan and, like, literally beating her up. Like, like, that's going a bit far. But I get why she did it, because she, like, Sadako's the focus of her hatred in, like, screwing up Satoshi's, like, life or whatever, so she hates Satoko. So I can see why she did it. It's just, like, it surprised me that it was that extreme. And I'm also surprised that she didn't get found out for, like, not being Mion. Because that seems, like, so out of character for Mion that I'm surprised nobody was like, "This isn't you. What's up with this sort of deal?" But I guess from at least Rena's perspective, Rena assumes that Mion is in love with Satoshi-kun. So she's kind of making the connections that, okay, because she's in love with Satoshi, it could potentially lead this. So Mion gets thought, it's like, okay, this kind of tracks. I don't know about Rika. Rika wasn't really in it. She just kind of showed up and was like, "No, don't stop," kind of thing. Very, very interesting to on Satoshi's part. I keep wanting to say Satoshi-kun because that's literally every time his name comes up, it's always followed by kun. But like he's worn ragged, but especially from the tip just now, and kind of what we already know, he's not worn ragged just from the work. He's worn ragged because he is definitely under a curse. Under the curse or something. Something is pushing him towards it. And it's a great setup for, hey, this might actually be a thing. The tip itself explains it clearly that it's like, it definitely seems like he's trying to make a deal with Oshiro-sama to like, the tip is the most interesting part of this, actually, where he's like, just let me get this teddy bear for her, and then I can be an instrument of your will. Like, it seems that Oshiro-sama possesses people, like, completely. Like all of who they used to be is gone, which could be a great explanation for several things, like in Oni Kakushi, how Rena and Mion both kind of flip. They both completely flip and seem like completely different characters. Because it's potentially they got possessed, or Mion in the second one going all nutso torture and potentially possessed, and then Kiichi in the third one getting to that point of potentially being possessed because he was under the curse's influence the most. So it's definitely so the curse is definitely some sort of possession on the supernatural side of things. Whether the curse is real or not, it's still kind of up in the air. It might just be a mental thing, like it's all in their heads sort of deal, and it's no actual possession. They just kind of like snap mentally, which possible, maybe, I don't know. What else from this chapter that was really interesting? There was talk in the second half between Shion and Kasai, where Shion is basically 100% on the train of it's definitely the hag, and she's definitely the responsible for all of the Watani. Like, Shion just believes that it's her, and that she does all of it, because it makes the most sense. She came to the same conclusion I did a little while ago, where all of the victims of the curse up until now have been people related to the dam, and it makes total political sense in their town's world that those people get removed, so you're only left with the pure town that, all believes and all follows the rules and whatnot. And I think it doesn't start this year where a change occurs, where it's slightly not those victims, but it kind of is. Like, I'm unsure. I'm kind of losing the thread here. Again, I'm stuffed up nose and just kind of a hell of a recording to go through. But in the long and short of it, this one didn't have a lot to speculate upon, because what I feel like is going to occur is kind of what we know already. The aunt is going to get killed, and then Satoshi is going to disappear. Really, it's just surrounding the details of why that occurs. I'm unsure if Shion is actually going to be the one to escort Satoko around the Watanagashi Festival, because that could easily be passed off to Mion herself, because Mion herself is needs to be there. So I don't know how Shion is going to get to the festival, even if she does. But yeah. And an interesting thing that I kind of just came up with is, in the Kiichi year after this, it seems like Shion has no problem coming in and out of Hamanazawa, So I feel like there might be some restriction lifted at the end of this where it doesn't matter anymore if Shion comes into town or whatnot. And that could either be with the hag being like, I don't give a shit anymore, or something possibly alternate related that just is like, okay, it's fine now. Because she shows up a lot in and out of what Hamanazawa in the first 3 chapters with no real issues, and yet the entire a big sticking point of this one is that she can't show up in Hamanazawa, period. Like, she can't even go to the town because she could be found out, and then bullshit would happen to her, supposedly. But something... I want to know what changes where it becomes fine, or it doesn't matter as much anymore. It's kind of what I want to know. And the details of what exactly happened with Satoshi-kun is basically what's going to be happening next. I don't know if it's directly next. I think the next chapter itself might be the Watanagashi chapter, but we're only... Like, this is chapter 5, and that's only chapter 6, so it's only about halfway, I would think, if this is a full 13 chapter 1. Like, this only is about halfway through the story. So, it's kind of interesting that it's ramping up now, because Watanagashi is usually saved for, like, 7 or 8, I think. It usually happens a little bit later, and then stuff goes on. So, there might be a lot of post-Watanagashi stuff after this one, of probably Shion trying to find Satoshi or what's going on there. So that's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. However, I need to stop recording now, and I need to stop talking now, and I need to go, like, blow my nose several times. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.